bloody hell did we not lose that one? Hello and welcome to The Good Until, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, the show in which we react to the latest Arsenal news and matches and shows and whatever the bloody hell we just witnessed. Unreal, really. I don't really understand what goes through Pepe's head. That is the talking point of the game. That is the biggest thing from this game by a long distance. And we're going to kick off with that. So you just tell me in the chat box straight up. I don't want anything else about anything right now. Just tell me your reaction to Pepe. What is that about? Why is he doing that? Absolutely stupid. We're clearly not in this game at the point of winning it when it happened. We're clearly at a situation where we need everything we can in the forward line, that if we can hit them on the counter, we can get something from it. But that is just so stupid. Like, it's just ridiculous to think that that's okay. And genuinely, Arteta needs to have pull him aside and say to him, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because you've cost us that. You've cost us the opportunity to have threat, any minimal threat that we did have being increased, because you cannot categorically go up and nut someone. And what I will say is that in terms of the lineup side of things, no, we'll go on to that in a second. Let me go to your comments first. Childish, sell him, bid him. Yeah, that's pretty much is summing up how we feel. Pepe out, Pepe reaction silly, game ruined, WTF Pepe. Gets given a chance then, that happens. It's dumb. Even if we had 11 men on the pitch, we wouldn't have won that, says Yannick. Daniel says, we were getting outplayed before Pepe. Yeah, but it's not the point, is it? Like, we can't just all of a sudden just ignore that that's happening. Like, you can't just ignore the fact that we've gone down to 10 men with 40-odd minutes still to play in the game because of stupidity. That is, I'm sorry, but that's just agenda. It's flying through you. It's just agenda when you're not going to just even recognise that has happened as to the result. I'm sorry, but it is. And we can, all the live long day, we can try and defend Pepe, but there is no defending that. Absolutely nothing. And he shouldn't play again for a significant period of time until he's got his head screwed on. Unfortunately, we might have to be forced into it because of what's happened to Saka. And we don't know the extent of Saka's injury right now. It could be an impact injury, but it looked bad. Being helped off the pitch because of a knee injury is not good. It is not good whatsoever. I'm hoping it's just impact. Fingers crossed it is, but there could be something more sinister about it. If it is something bad that's in the long term, yeah, we really are in a really, really deep pit of problems. We already are, but if that happens, it's absolutely ridiculous. Zamir says, Tom, we are not ignoring the fact that we went down to 10, but you can't ignore that there are bigger questions in this squad. We were so pathetic before we got sent off. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you, Zamir. All I'm saying is that when we're talking about this specific incident, let's focus on it. Let's talk about it, because it's just stupid. It's just so stupid. It cost us so much for the rest of that game. Let's talk about it though. Let's talk about the actual performance, because it wasn't good enough, was it? It was pretty terrible. But every single person that's called out for Aubameyang playing through the middle, including myself, and I'm including myself in this, we wanted Aubameyang through the middle. We wanted Lacazette to be dropped. We wanted Pepe to start. We wanted Willock to play. All of that happened. All of it happened. So we can all sit on here and pretend we're going to be FIFA managers for the rest of our lives. We can say that we're going to be football managers for the rest of our lives, but it's not going to happen, is it? Doesn't matter. If you don't have the right mentality without the group, it doesn't matter what decisions you make. It doesn't matter who you put in that team. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. And I have serious issues with the squad. Serious problems. And it's so easy. It's so easy to just go, oh, it's Arteta's fault. It's Arteta's fault. And I'm not saying that he's absolved from everything. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this season specifically, is, if we will be lucky to get anything from this season, and next season is where we go for it. You cannot chop and change coaches until it finally works, because I'm sorry, it doesn't matter if you have the greatest manager in the world. With the personnel that we have in this squad, it's not going to get better. It is not going to get significantly better. It is unbelievable to think that we won an FA Cup with this group of players, and that's before Partey and Gabriel were brought in. We're finally starting to see differences in recruitment. We're finally starting to see players like Gabriel get bought in. Players like Partey get bought in. Players like Kieran Tierney get bought in. Young players coming through the ranks like Bukayo Saka. We're finally starting to see a difference in recruitment. I sat here with Lee Judges 2 days ago and we talked about the problems of recruitment over the last 5 years before these last 2 seasons. And Edu came in after the whole Pepe thing was kind of sorted. And we are still suffering from huge recruitment problems from the end of the Wenger era, from Raul Sanyehi's just ridiculous choices that has been made. It's just stupid. Like, a lot of people turn around and say that we signed some decent players under Raul Sanyehi, and we did sign some decent players, but he's not the guy. Like, it's not him that ultimately found those players, is it? It's the scouts that have, unfortunately, some of the scouts that have now gone. Arsenal were looking at Kieran Tierney for a while, but we've made so many errors in the transfer market, and we're finally starting to see a difference. And you cannot just cut your ties with the coach that has improved some real poor players within this team. I'm sorry, but you can't ignore that fact. Overall, teams around us are getting better than us. It's as simple as that. Teams around us are better than us and are getting better than us at a faster rate than we can improve. Until we start to see gradual change throughout the entire team, we are not going to see overall improvement on the pitch. We need patience. And I'm just as angry as I get. And I don't want to see my team losing. I really don't. But I'm accepting of the fact that it is going to take time before we can weed out the weak ones within this squad. And there are plenty. And you are not, it doesn't matter who you get in as coach. You're not suddenly going to get into the top 4 next season. I've seen people have the cheek to turn around and say that Unai Emery, the man that decided to play weak teams when we finished 1 point behind the top 4 at the end of the season. Unai Emery cost us Champions League football in that season, and then he went and lost the Europa League final with a terrible performance in the Europa League final. And I can see people have the cheek to turn around and say that he would be a better coach than Arteta is being right now. How on earth you can forgive those types of things happening and think that that's better than what we've got? That we've got a guy that came in and has improved players like Mustafi to look better. But it doesn't matter. You can improve Mustafi's, you can improve Luiz's, you can improve Xhaka's. And as I say all the time about Granit Xhaka, I thought he gets a lot more criticism than he's worthy of. But that's not me saying that he's a world-class player or that he's great. And I would happily take an upgrade on him any day of the week. But you cannot say that Unai Emery would have got anything more than what Arteta's doing with this squad right now, because we were declining under him and we continue to decline. He's now in Spain. He's got a squad like Villarreal where he can communicate with them better, and he's doing a great job there, and fair play to him, and I wish him all the best. But you cannot have the cheek to turn around and say that Unai Emery would be doing a better job right now, because he wasn't, and he didn't do anything. He made the situation worse. And now we've got a coach that we can stick with. We've got a recruitment set up now that's starting to improve things by getting in Partey, getting in Gabriel, getting in Tierney, getting in these young guys, getting in players that can make a difference. And you want to throw that all away. Yeah? You want to throw that all away because you're going to be reactionary and you want to throw away what we're starting to try and change. It's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. And this period is going to weed out the weak fans amongst us. I'm sorry, but it's going to weed out the weak ones for me that are not ready to just wait and chill and get through this period of utter rubbish until we can finally see something good. Because I'm hoping that gradually we are going to see an improvement. I really am. And I feel like there is gradually going to be an improvement. Anyway, I feel like we've gone on a bit on a tangent, a bit of a rant, and not really talked about the game. Let's talk about the handball. In the chat box, penalty or no penalty for you? Because I'm really struggling to understand these rules. I don't know about you, but I'm really struggling to understand why on earth that isn't a penalty, and yet other instances are. The ball, as Gary Neville says, it hits him on his elbow. That's what Gary Neville said. It hits him on his elbow. And as far as I'm aware, that's below the armpit. I mean, I've checked it. Elbow, definitely below the armpit there. I'm I know I'm putting myself out on a bit of a precipice here, but I'm definitely sure my elbow is below my armpit. It doesn't take a genius with a degree to work that out. And I don't understand how the rules are changing. Now, what I'm not saying is that I don't think in terms of if I was to design the handball rule, is that a handball? No. In my mind, I wouldn't give that if I was making up the rules. However, there has been so many penalties given for innocuous handballs that have struck the arm when players have taken shots. You can't suddenly just stop doing that. You need to be consistent throughout the season. If you're going to give one penalty for one team, you have to give the penalty for the other team. I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous. You can't just change the rules all of a sudden throughout the season. It needs to be consistent. And a lot of pundits turned around and said at the start of the season that there needed to be a change in the interpretation of the rules. But how is that keeping the legitimacy of the season? Whether or not the handball rule in itself is flawed, it still makes the whole season legitimate if you keep that same rule the same throughout the year. You can't suddenly have 6 games where some teams have profited from this rule, change the way that it is interpreted, and for the rest of the season, teams that wouldn't have originally got that now get that in their favour or go against them. It's ridiculous to change a rule or an interpretation of a rule throughout the season. You completely throw out any legitimacy of that season. It's gone. And so I don't understand at all how that's not a penalty. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in the chat. Let's go to 100% after United's one yesterday. Penn says, Freddie, no penalty, says Oliver. If you don't think it's a pen, I'd love to get your thoughts on why you don't think it is, because obviously I'm of the other mind. Owen says, penalty for sure. Moved his arm directly towards the ball. Soft one on the penalty. It says Javier. Penalty 100%, says Matt. Penn says Ray. If it comes off his leg before making contact with his arm, it's not a pen. If it's not, it's a pen. Even so, like, you've used part of your body to stop the ball going towards goal. Like, it hits his foot and deflects off. I'm not even sure if it did or not. It's very difficult to see from the angle that we got. But if it deflects off his leg and then goes up onto his arm and the ball is still heading towards goal, you're still denying a shot on goal with your arm. Like, you're still denying that opportunity. So, and the hand is moving towards the ball as well at that point, and that's what really bothers me. Young Lord says foul throws. How can Hector Bellerin, at 25, 26 years of age, not take a throw in? It's not just a one-time thing. He's done it in, I think, 3 or 4 separate games this season. And it shows, again, that's another systemic issue. It's a lack of care. It's a lack of commitment. All coming from a foul throw. And I'm sorry, I know that I overanalyze things quite a lot, but I'm not overanalyzing a foul throw that's happened 4 times, 3 or 4 times throughout the season. That strikes me as lazy, incompetent, and silly. And this is coming from someone that backs Hector Bellerin a lot. I'm not talking about him as a player. I think it's a systemic issue throughout the team, encapsulated by that foul throw. It's a joke. How can you not be switched on at this top level? Leeds, how you didn't win this game is a bigger criticism of Arsenal's failings in this fixture. And if I'm a Leeds fan, I'll be looking at their team fuming. Because I don't think Leeds... You can't turn around to me that Leeds played amazing, because their clear-cut chances they made, they missed every single one. And I'd be absolutely fuming if I was a Leeds fan. I wouldn't be happy with that display. You blew it. And you really should have done something better. It's not like Aston Villa the week before. Last week, I held my hands up and said that Aston Villa were brilliant. Leeds weren't brilliant in that game, and they were like, you can't. They just wasted chance upon chance because they weren't good enough in the final third. Arsenal had few chances as well, and they blew them at the same time. It's not me being salty about anything. They blew so many chances. I'd be fuming if I was a Leeds fan after that performance. I really would, because you got to take the chances that you make. Arsenal gave it to them on a plate, and they didn't take it. I think you can tell I'm a little bit angry. Penalty all night long, it says Juan Felipe Palacio Rivera. So even though I'm angry, I'll say your full name. Tommy Besden says penalty. Leon says no penalty. It was point blank range. Again, I know what you're saying, Leon. And in the perfect game of football, and how I think the rules should be interpreted, I agree. No penalty. But in the rules in their current state, how is it not a pen? How can other teams be given penalties for so similar events? And then for this, and the United game yesterday, the officiating in the United game was a joke. How West Brom were not given a penalty, and then later on, how Gallagher was not given for a foul for them to go on and then get their own penalty. I'm not denying that it was a penalty for United, but in the lead up to that penalty being given, Gallagher is clearly fouled. The officiating on this country is a joke. Like, it's pathetic. It's pathetic how these people are getting paid so much money, and to this point where they're being almost famous and celebrities at this stage of these officials, and they're getting time and time again decisions wrong. And why we don't have yet mic'd up officials, and why we can't hear the thought process of the officials is silly. In rugby, you can hear everything. And it makes the communication and the understanding of the fan base listening on what's going on the pitch coherent. And you barely ever hear about controversies within that game. And in football, there are so many. Because it is not good enough. There's no accountability. There's nothing for mistakes being made. And that comes down to whether you think the incident was a penalty or not. Because there are so many instances across this season of poor officiating ruining this game of football. Whether it goes against Arsenal or whether it goes for Arsenal. The officiating in the league and in Europe, you have to say, because in some of the countries across Europe, it's dreadful as well. Like, you watch La Liga, my God, the officiating is dreadful. But England is really taking precedent as one of the worst officiated leagues in the world right now. It's ridiculous. Here we go. Let's go for some more comments. I saw one pop up that I wanted to reference, but I think I've lost it. Yeah, I've lost it. So let's just pick some randos. Alex Wilden says, I am worried for Mikel. He is wet behind the ears. It's his first manager's job. He is having problems. And again, Alex, tell me what he does differently. Because how many people called for Lacazette to be dropped? How many people called for Aubameyang to play for the middle? How many people called for Willock to start? How many people wanted Pepe to start? Pepe was given his chance, blew it. He didn't offer anything before being sent off. Willian, that's a mistake. Why Willian started over Nelson? Saka, I can understand being benched because Saka's been overplayed in midweek. And even though he was overplayed, the amount of people that then said that an impact injury is Gareth Southgate's fault. What are you talking about? How is that Gareth Southgate's fault? Saka's injury. My God. Yes, he played a few games. He played for his bloody country. How can you be annoyed at that? It's clearly not Gareth. What is the... Oh, it just stresses me out so much the way some people think. Oh, anyway, where was I? So, why Nelson is not starting ahead of Willian? Like, Willian's gone to Dubai. He's not been able to train fully over the international break because he's been on a plane, on a long journey. He's then gone and done whatever contractual obligation. He's then gone to his restaurant to see his mate Salt Bay, to have a little bit of salt, to then start. Arteta, mate, what are you doing there? Why are you doing that? Learn. Learn. Why are you picking Willian there? It makes no sense. Play Nelson. And also, on the subject of Nelson, whilst I think he should have started, take some corners in training. And beat the first man. Beat the first man from a corner. We've been saying this for years. Year upon year upon year. We have been saying over and over and over again, please God, can you just beat the first man? Oh, man, I've just said I'm on 13% now. So I'm just sending the delivery text. Bring my charger, please, because I'm going to die and I don't feel like coming off the pod yet because I need to do some more ranting. Please bring my charger upstairs. If she doesn't see the message, I'm screwed. Tebow Pesk, who I have to say, thanks for tuning into Hugh Wizzy's show yesterday. And Tebow, I saw that your comment was highlighted. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. It says, no excuse for doing foul throws consistently. No, I feel like I've gone way back up the conversation. They are getting paid to referee, all right? Yeah, they are. They are getting paid to referee at this moment in journalism. Yes, laptop charger. Gary Mullen says, what's the light at the end of this long tunnel? Oh, Tommy, just. I know it's really difficult. It's really difficult to try and wait for the light at the end of this tunnel. But please tell me, people, if you want him gone. Got my charger? Thank you. If you want Arteta gone, please tell me. Please tell me why. Why and who is coming in and who's doing a better job, and what is it about that job? Because I'd love to hear, because it's all well and good dropping an Arteta out into the chat, which, to be fair, I haven't seen any of you doing as of yet, which I appreciate, because I think it shows a little bit of maturity. Oh, Jesus, that's bright. But at the end of the day, what is it? What's going to come in and change? What is going to come in and change? Why not, instead of shaking up the boat and getting in another manager with a group of players that aren't his, stick with what we got, be patient, deal with this utter shit. I still avoid swearing even though I'm not a teacher, but it's just habit now. And just get to the summer, weed out the Mustafis, the Luizes, weed out the Ozils, the Socrateses. Get those guys gone, and get in some players that are going to commit. Get Pepe gone. If you don't want Pepe here, sell him. Make as much money off him as you possibly could. Yeah, because it's clearly not worked. He weren't your player. It's not working for you. You signed Willian for free, who's now playing in the same position as Pepe. If you were going to put investment and time and effort into Pepe, you wouldn't have got Willian. Yeah, you would have signed some young player who was 18, 19, and you would have got him in. But you didn't. You went and got Willian, Arsenal, and now you're playing him over Pepe. So you're not interested in putting the time and effort into him. So sell him. Get your money back and use that money on someone that's actually going to help the team. It's just as simple as that. It's just as simple as that. Glenn Cook says, Arteta played the players the fans are asking for, and they're still blaming Arteta. Lol, when do they address the players that we actually have? Willem says, do we still win the Europa League at this rate? Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, dearie me. At the moment, Real Madrid are going to be in the Europa League. You think we're beating Real Madrid and PSG? Oh, dearie me. I want Arteta gone. Nah, jokes. Thought I'd just rock the boat. At least you're cheering me up. That's what I appreciate. And that's why I'm going to jump on here for a little bit longer. Tulip says, when you don't get opportunity, you hope you get one. The last thing is to blow it in such a way. Just how can one? Hope Saka injury is not too serious. Yes, Tulip, I agree with you. Gary Mullen says, Tom, I like Arteta, and I'm not saying for him to be sacked, but these performances are shockingly bad. We don't even look like scoring in these matches. No, we don't. No, we don't look like scoring. But he's selected players that people thought was going to change things. He's put Willock in. It's not changed. He's put Aubameyang in the middle. It's not changed. He's put Pepe wide. It's not changed. Who is going to come in and get more from this group? And if it is more, what is that? Tell me, please, because I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for some of these hypocrites that are jumping onto their YouTube channels and just easily calling Arteta out. I'm waiting for you to tell me what it is that someone else can come in and do differently right now. What is it? Who is it? And how are they changing it? Give me a level-headed argument instead of throwing silly little insults out. Trying to get your little kids up, like trying to get little kids to tweet at people and tweet at Arteta, because it's just stupid. It's just stupid, like, honestly. The amount of people that listen to these fools. Maniac says, Tom, we had discussions over Willian and you defend him. He did nothing to justify this, not only today. Arteta wants him and that's why he's playing. But even you must admit that it's a mistake, and I'm not Arteta out. Maniac, as I have said time and time again on this channel, if I am wrong about something, I hold my hands up. And Willian, at the time, and especially after the Fulham game, I thought it was going to be a good thing. And I hold my hands up and I say that it's not worked. It's not worked. The evidence in my half, in my defence, when he was signed, he was free and it looked like it was adding good depth to the squad. But he has been terrible. He has been terrible. Now find me someone else on a platform that will go out and put their hands up. I know there's a fair few of you, and fair play to you, but the ones that annoyingly people listen to a lot just don't get it. Just do not get it. JD says, Pepe, is this how you repay the faith shown by fans calling you for a start? Now there's no chance at all, and you are playing ahead of Willian or Saka. It's just stupid. And to be fair, Okay, Peter says, Tom, come on, Arteta should be sacked. Peter, in the chat, tell me, if Arteta is sacked, who are you bringing in? What are they doing different? And what is Arteta doing wrong at the moment? Don't just throw these wild comments into the chat box. I want explanation. I want an understanding. I want a cohesive, well put together argument that I can actually feed on. I can't say anything to that, Peter. What do you want me to say? I can't put together any logical response to just saying he needs to go. I just don't understand what you want me to say, Peter. I don't, because you're not putting any reasoning behind what the difference is. What is the alternative? What should happen? Oh, dearie me. Arta said, Emery had a worse squad and got better results. If you think that getting towards the end of a season where we can achieve Champions League football in a worse and less competitive Premier League 20 teams and then play weak sides against the likes of Brighton and Crystal Palace to then drop points and cost us Champions League football by a point is a better result than the FA Cup with the squad that you inherited after a Spaniard came in and utterly ruined it. Unai Emery utterly ruined and made worse what I'm not gonna lie, Arsene Wenger left us in a terrible situation, but he made it worse. And it takes some doing to make the situation worse. How on earth is costing us Champions League football by playing weak teams at the end of a Premier League season a good decision? You have got to have something wrong with you to think that it is, because it's just silly. It's just a joke. Jack Anthony says, Arteta is still thinking like a midfield player, not a manager. Again, Jack, tell me what that is. Again, it's not an explanation. I need you to tell me what it is that needs to change. What it is when someone comes in. There's nothing. Beast Titan again. And I know, Beast, me and you, I'm with you, Beast. Yeah, I get it. You don't agree with what I say, and that's absolutely fine. And I get you one. But I would like you in the chat to just tell me. Someone just tell me what it is that's wrong. Tell me what the alternative is. If Arteta has to go, fine, that's okay. But just tell me, what is the alternative? What do they do with this team? What do they do with it to make it better? Because in my mind, I've seen Arteta come in and improve some players from what he took over. He's not been able to improve everything, but I tell you what also, how many people that are calling for Arteta out called for Simeone to be our manager at the time when Arsene Wenger was manager? And then you're crying and whinging and moaning that we've now got a defensive manager that's solid, that's made us more solid at the back, but isn't necessarily showing us more up top. Because that's what Simeone does. He's industrious. It's got grit. It's got determination. And everyone fights for each other at the back. And that's what Arsenal are doing. They are fighting for each other at the back and they're defending. But all of a sudden, that's not good enough. And all of a sudden, the Simeone model and that style of play is not for you because we're not winning games. But this is not the personnel for that type of manager. And that's the type of manager that we probably have got now. We have got. Arteta is clearly a lot more industrious. Arteta is clearly a lot more of a defensive, want to sort the back out first before we can then push forward type of coach. And that's the type of coach a lot of people wanted in Simeone. That's what a lot of people wanted in Diego Simeone. But all of a sudden, we've got that style, and now we're not happy again. It just really, really... Oh, it's just so annoying. Oh, man. Wholesale changes, says Midnight. I saw your comment, and it just popped off my screen. I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. This is another one. Big sell. Emery in, Arteta in, whatever manager in until KSE leaves. Now, this is funny because KSE, right, have started to do the things that everyone has been moaning at them for not doing. Yeah? Now, we can go and say that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But we've seen, and if you read the article from The Athletic the other day, it said there in black and white, and they're a reliable source. If you don't agree with their point, it doesn't make them unreliable, yeah? And I've disagreed with plenty of stuff that's been written there because it's all based around opinion. But what they reported was fact. They reported that once the Kroenke ownership got 100% control in the club, they would start to invest. And believe it or not, if you don't like it, it doesn't matter because it's fact. As soon as they took over 100%, look at that. They went out, they invested in Pepe. They've invested in Thomas Partey this season. So you can try and call for them to go, but actually now when they've got 100% control, they are starting to invest. They are starting to put money into the club. So it's not a case of Kroenke out at this point. That is not the issue. The issue is that we need to have patience and start turning around the squad and start changing the systemic issues that we've had at this team for a long time. And I'll happily jump onto anyone's channel, jump onto anyone's show and debate you until the live long day is cold. Because it is as simple as that. Because I'm still waiting for someone to jump on and chat with me and try and make me see differently. Because there is no one right now that I feel is given a legitimate argument for him to go. A legitimate argument to suggest that an alternative is better than what we currently have. I've seen nothing. Nothing so far. Abiram says, not calling for Arteta to go, but in a season of transition, Arteta is wasting time on the likes of Willian, Holding, Mustafi, Laka, etc., instead of including valuable experience like Saliba, Nelson, and Emile Smith-Rowe. Okay, let's talk about that then. So, Willian coming in, he was signed and they spent a lot of money on him. He's playing in for that reason because he also, I don't think, thinks Pepe's good enough. And Pepe had his chance today and he blew it. And if we're honest, in all of the Premier League games that Pepe has played in, other than Sheffield United when he came on, again, nothing. Like, Pepe has not done enough this season for anyone to turn around to me and say that he has been better than Willian. He's had one good performance in the league, and because that's where it counts, in the league, not against these lesser sides in the Europa League. In the league, he's had one performance where it counts. Willian, against Fulham, had one performance where it counted. And arguably, Willian was quite good at Old Trafford as well. But neither of them have been good across the season. So you can't tell me that Willian, that Willian is a problem for Arteta because Pepe's offered nothing. Nothing. So, Nelson, another thing with Nelson is that the thing with Nelson right now is that I don't look at Nelson as a genuine player that has all the ability to change our fortunes. Tell me if you think he is that guy. I know that he's different to what we currently have. I understand that he's different to what we currently have. But just let me get rid of a loser in the chat box. And by loser, I mean Spurs fan. So, how do I do this? There we go. Tell me, because Nelson had chances today. He put 2 corners in. They both hit the first man. He had a free kick, hit the first man. That's not better than what we've got. Saliba, I could talk on a separate show about Saliba, and I have done. I have talked separately about Saliba, and I watched the game against Gillingham, and I know there's a lot of context around that game, but I could see why. Yeah, he's also had a lot going on this year. A lot going on this year. He's had to deal with some real crap this year, and I feel for the guy. I really do. I want him in the squad. That's where I think we're making a mistake. Put him on the bench. Because why Mustafi is on the bench instead of Saliba, I don't know. So, Abiram, I'm with you there. Look, I don't know why Mustafi is on the bench over someone like Saliba. Because at least you could throw him on. At least you could give him some minutes at the end of a Premier League game just to recover that situation. So with there, I'm with you. Yeah, I understand that. But in terms of starting him, it doesn't make too much sense to me right now. Emile Smith-Rowe. Emile Smith-Rowe's been injured, right? He's only just come back from an injury. He played and scored against, I don't even know who it was, might have been Brighton in the under-23s Premier League 2 the other day. He looks like he's coming back. And it could be that he gets drafted into the first team. But he has been injured. So there's that one. Holding's been fine. Again, it's easy to say that Holding is bad, Holding is rubbish because he's unfavourable, he's not fashionable. I want an upgrade on Holding as much as the next guy, but he is not the problem in this team. And defensively, like today, we have been good, yeah? We have been good defensively. Holding is not the issue right now. He is not the reason we are not picking up points. Lacazette, he dropped him today, yeah? So he's dropped him. Did he keep him on for too long across the season? Maybe. But he's now dropped him. So there you go. Nelson looks better than Pepe in the Europa League. Yes. arguably, so it's about on par. If Arteta throws out do you think Pepe is in trouble? I mean, it's a different situation, Keane, isn't it? I mean, Pepe's done something stupid. It depends how Pepe reacts to that. Obviously, we know that Guendouzi's kind of exile came after his behaviour against Brighton. If Pepe reacts differently, it might be different. We're just going to have to wait and see. Luis Kiraku, sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong, mate. He says, Tom, I disagreed with you on Pepe versus Willian point because Pepe had way less minutes than Willian, but today he was so poor and let everyone down. See, Lewis, fair play to you. And I've pulled my hands up and I've said that I've been wrong on Willian, and this is why I appreciate people like yourself in the chat box, that you have said over and over again that Pepe should come in over Willian. He has, and you've been able to be man enough to hold your hands up and say, fair play. He didn't have a good performance. And that's why I like people like you, Lewis. And fair play to you. Thomas Rees says, Tom, is Arteta getting the most out of the squad? Is he using Partey adequately to make us more flexible? We seem very one note to me. Thomas, is he getting the most from the squad? I mean, if you go back to what Jamie Carragher said in the lead up to the Manchester United game, I think it was, or it might have been just after the Liverpool game, he said what I was feeling, that I don't necessarily feel, just before Partey came in, I couldn't see Arteta getting anything more out of the current crop of players that we had. Partey came in and improved things immediately. Partey was a big reason as to why we got the points that we did against Manchester United. And today, we needed him. We needed someone to help us break the lines because Leeds were pressing. It was the perfect game for Partey. And I was so gutted that he couldn't play. So gutted. Is he getting the most from the players? I don't see how we can get any more. I don't know how you can get any more from the current crop of players with the mentality that some of them have got. Kieran Tierney is an utter fighter, and he's a brilliant example to the rest of the squad. And I wish more people could take on his rhetoric. The same goes for Bukayo Saka. The same goes for Gabriel. The same goes for Partey. These guys are putting in 110% effort, and no one else is. Everyone else is just kind of riding the wave and really not, or they're just fine. Like I said, Holding, you can criticise him, but again, he's just one of the ones that's just fine. He's not standing out for me as amazing. He's still making errors, but he's just doing fine. And that's why I'd like Saliba to be in the squad, at least, just to give him a shot, man. Just give him a shot. Antonio says, Arteta has to change his approach. Let's move the ball quicker and break the lines more often, and the players should take more risk and make difficult passes. The movement gets automatically better. And the thing is, though, is that if you want to move the ball quicker, you need to have players that can do that. Is there players in the midfield that we have that can move the ball quickly? And the simple answer to that is no. Xhaka does not move the ball quickly. He moves the ball well, just not very quickly. And at times makes mistakes. Ceballos. Does Ceballos move the ball quickly? No. He takes the ball, he turns, he drives, plays a decent pass now and again. Is he a bad player? No. But he's not someone who turns the transition quickly. Thomas Partey is that player. El Neni isn't that player. Willock was very bright at the first half. I thought he had a decent performance, and I thought that no one was really running for the guy, and I thought he was putting a lot of effort in. But it's so easy, Antonio, to turn around and say that Arteta has to make the team pass quicker. But if you've not got the personnel to do that, how do you expect to do that? You can't build a car without any wheels. Like you can't do some things if you don't have the personnel in place. And I'm hoping that when it turns January 1st, we go out aggressively into the January transfer market and try to change things. And I hope it works. Let's go through some more comments. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you could drop a like on the video, I'd really appreciate it. I know that it's not obviously the most fun of performances to witness, but if you could drop a like on the video, I'd really appreciate it. New Tide says, managers have a style of play. Arteta will not turn into a Pep from Pulis with change in the personnel. This is the style of play and accept it. Again, the Pulis thing is funny because I don't remember Pulis winning a trophy in his first 6 months at a club. It's pathetic, frankly. He's not Pep. He's not Pep, is he? If we're honest, Arteta is a better defensive coach than Pep by any day. You look at wherever Pep has gone, defensively his teams have been lacking. He's won amazing things. He did amazing things at Barcelona. All of the invention, all of the guile, all of the style is in the final third of the pitch and in the middle third of the pitch. Defensively, Pep is flawed, and it's somewhere that Arteta can learn from Pep. Sorry, it's an area of his game that he needs to improve. Defensively, Arteta is a great coach, great coach. Tell you what, Pep says nobody talking about Martinez Leno today. Yeah, fantastic point, Tebow. Leno, fantastic. Put some respect on this guy's name, for goodness sake. Like, he has saved us in these types of games time and time and time again. The defence, I thought, had a decent game. Yes, Leeds were able to cut through us quite simply and through the midfield because we lacked Partey. And let's be real, with Xhaka and Sabas, defensively it's not good enough in the Premier League level at the moment. It's just not good enough. And Partey is good enough and more than good enough to be in that position. And without him, we really kind of lacked that. El Neni as well. Without El Neni, we looked a bit more defensively weak too. But El Neni against Aston Villa wasn't great. So, but when it came to it, Leno was on it. And Leno saved us time and time and time again. It's just, yeah. Manu says, Tom, I'm not Arteta out, but I don't think picking a good lineup justifies as good management. You are asking for arguments why he should leave, but give me arguments why he should stay. Okay, Manu, if you want my argument for why Arteta should stay, it's a simple one. Arteta came in, took over a very, very difficult situation for Unai Emery, who had declined this club to the point where we could not go any lower besides relegation. It was getting that bad. He took on a group of players that were broken, a group of players that were rebellious, a group of players that were not interested at being at the club anymore, hence why Aubameyang was pretty much calling out clubs in January to try and sign him. Players did not want to be here anymore. He has taken that situation, he has taken players like Granit Xhaka and like Shkodran Mustafi and improved them. Players that I would rather now us not put too much more time into because I'd like to see us change things. The reason why we should keep Arteta and not change is because he's starting to bring in players that he wants. Gabriel, he wanted him, looks great. Partey, wanted him, looks great. Aouar, wants him, looks good. Can he get him in? That'll be interesting to see if he does. Dominic Szoboszlai, I'm learning how to say his name properly. Wants him, can he get him? Hopefully. We cannot chop and change coaches because our recruitment is not good enough. The infrastructure is not good enough for us to chop and change coaches. We cannot afford to be the Chelseas and the Man Uniteds and the Man City. Well, not the Man Cities necessarily anymore of this world. You look at Liverpool, right? Start at Liverpool. Klopp comes in. Didn't look amazing. Didn't look great. Took on a declining Liverpool side after that had done decent under Brendan Rodgers. But ultimately, at the end of Brendan Rodgers' time at the club, it was declining. It was going downhill. They were in the Europa League. They were going out of the top four. Klopp comes in, gradually starts turning it around. Starts signing transformative players like Alisson, like Van Dijk. And look what happens. They shoot up the league, like Sadio Mane. Yeah? Arteta has come in and signed Gabriel and Partey. Two players that you can't argue have been two of our best players this season. Yeah? We need to maintain this so that we can get a squad that Arteta wants so he can improve and employ what he wants to do in this team. Yeah? And the alternative to that is chop and changing. The alternative to that is getting in another coach that looks great in the situation that they're at. And we can talk about Jose Mourinho if you like. We can talk about that. But it'll be painful because it'll involve us looking at a club that we hate and being very honest about them. And being honest about the quality of their recruitment in comparison to ours over the last 5 to 6 seasons. We can joke and laugh about them all day long. But I'm a bit jealous of how they've recruited players. Heung-min Son, what a player. Looks great. Like, I'd love if we'd have signed him. Our recruitment over the last 5 or 6 years has been terrible. It's been really bad. Exclude this season, exclude part of last season, but the 5-6 years between 2013 to 2018 when we finally had money was bad. We signed Mustafi's. We signed Xhaka when we could have signed Kante. We signed Mustafi when we could have signed some other defenders. We've spent money on Pepe when we needed defensive midfielders at the club. The recruitment has been poor and things need to change. So the argument, Manu, to keep Arteta is because things are changing. The recruitment is getting better. We are signing better players, and the players under him have improved, and he won a bloody FA Cup with this group. With this group. He won an FA Cup beating Manchester City and Chelsea well. And finally, we can defend as well. We can actually defend. And people want to throw that away because it gets them clicks, it gets them views, it gets them attention, and it just feeds their reactionary nature. As I've said before, I will jump on anyone's channel, anyone's show, anyone's platform, and debate until the day runs cold on this topic, because there is no argument that stacks up against it. And you know me, if someone puts a decent enough argument my way, as they have with Willian this season, as they have with Granit Xhaka, I hold my hands up and I say, yeah, I was wrong. Because I'm a grown-up guy. I can do that, yeah? I can say when I was wrong. I could admit when someone puts across a good argument. But I'm not going to... I'd love to hear your thoughts, Manu, on what you think about that. I really would. Let me scroll and see if you've replied. Here we go. So he says, I agree. So Arteta is doing better than Emery, but I think you are missing my point. Why should we invest in his plan? I don't see a system going forward. Surely the players aren't that bad. Manu, why not look at the fact that he has improved the defence side of things, yeah? That he has looked at this squad and he's gone, right, we need to sign a centre-back. We need to sign a defensive midfielder. We've done that. Yeah. How many years have we been waiting for one of our coaches to turn around and sign one of the players that we have needed? Arteta comes in. We sign Gabriel. Looks to be a fantastic centre-back. Brings in Thomas Partey. Looks to be an amazing centre midfielder. And all of a sudden, we want to throw this guy away. We want to throw him away. Like, why? I don't know. That's what it is. Manu, if you want to come on the show, as I say, with our members always get priority coming on the shows. It'd be great, but yeah. Deary me. Tulip says it's because of Arteta that this team today not lost after going a man down. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry if that came through loud on my mic. Mentality he installed and culture he is building gave us a point today. Yeah, luck, favour, us too, but we fought and we kept the faith, and that's it. Like, we went down to 10 men and we didn't lose, and that's what I take from this game: is we went down to 10 men, we didn't lose, and defensively we remained consistent as we have done this season. Another clean sheet without Thomas Partey as well, which is also impressive. So, yeah. Oh, dear me. Yoni Matt says, I'm taking bets. How long until Tom's Arteta out? It will be a long time. It will be a long time, because this season is so dead. Like, I am so excited for next year. It's based off of a lot of ifs, but I'm so excited for next year because we finally get rid of some systemic problems like Mesut Ozil. And this is not me having a bash at Mesut Ozil, but we can all admit, whether you like the guy or not, it's not a healthy situation for the club, is it? So getting him gone and the wages gone, that's good. Getting Mustafi gone is good. Getting some other players gone, maybe even Pepe, is gone, is good. Yeah? So hopefully things change. I don't really know what more we can say now without repeating myself over and over again. Yeah. I don't know what more I can say, to be honest. Javier says, is Aubameyang an Arteta player? Honestly, I don't think so. We're having a good discussion in the WhatsApp group today about Aubameyang, and they are rightly criticising Aubameyang for not making the right runs, not being as proactive. I said that I turn around, and I'm not disagreeing with them when they say it, but I'm saying categorically that Aubameyang has never been the type of player to really put himself about the pitch, ever. He's a poacher. He's a finisher. He takes chances, as he has done for us time after time after time. But he's not someone that's going to change things. He's not a captain, is he? He's not a leader. He's not someone that was the right choice to be given the captain's armband, which is another thing that we should rightly say, Arteta, why? I'd give it to someone else, yeah? But yeah, no. Like Aubameyang's not an Arteta player because he's not going to give you 100%. But at the end of the day, he's the only one who's going to score goals for us, really. At the moment, we really lack goals. So that's about it. Dan says, Tom's just excited for next year because of Szoboszlai. Even if we find... Why would you want to come here right now as well? Like he's got such a job on his hands trying and convince players to come to Arsenal. Hanif says, the most sensible Arsenal fan I've listened to on YouTube. Thank you for speaking with logic on Arteta and not basing your opinion on immediate emotions to Arsenal. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Manu says, Tom, great arguments, but I'm not convinced yet. But that's fair enough. And that's fine. And I appreciate you, Manu, for being so grounded about that. If you want to disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. You didn't do it in an abusive way. You didn't do it in an insulting way. And that's fine. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Easy Isle, Ed. Thank you for tuning in as always, Ed. Look forward to you coming back on the channel again when there's another expert members podcast. And as I say, if you want to come on the show and have a chat and come on a podcast, you can do that. You can do that, no problem. You just sign up as an expert member and you're in. Easy Isle says, time to bring in an offensive assistant from outside of the Prem. We seem to have no ideas. Lesser talent base only serves... Or maybe inside the Prem, Ed. And actually, maybe we need to sign some players from inside the Prem as well. How about we try that once in a while? I think I'm going to need to do another show. Probably tomorrow. After my shift. 9 till 5. Show in the evening. We have a podcast, of course, but I think I'd like to jump on and have another chat about some specific things. But I've been going on for over 50 minutes now. So I hope that I have in some way made your evening a little bit more, something to think about and something to consider and maybe something to not be so reactionary about. But we'll discuss it tomorrow on the podcast. Make sure you tune in 8:30 p.m, day after the game. As always, that's when we do our podcast. If you could drop a like on the video to help my pain, I'd really appreciate that. If you're new, welcome. And I hope you subscribe to the channel for some more level-headed and honest conversation that's just not looking for clicks and likes. So yeah, it's been a pleasure, guys. As always, I'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.